What up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Cafecito and Canes. Tuesday night edition. We have a very special guest tonight. You might, if you're a Canes fan and you listen to Locked On Canes every day, like I do, I listen most days, you probably recognize the guy next to me. But he's here in a much different capacity. He's here, representing the team he is a fan of and has been doing a lot of great content for. That is Notre Dame, of course. Mr. Brian Smith, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well.
Great. Yeah, man, like I said, I've stumbled onto that stuff, and you do great coverage when you're talking about the Canes and recruiting and all that stuff. But I thought, man, week of the game, I got to have you on to discuss this matchup. But you guys last year, you guys had a similar situation where you had to go on the road to face Texas A&M, and there was some uncertainties there at quarterback and everything, and you guys got the victory. It was a big win. I'll start you off with this. Like, how's the feeling amongst the fan base with you, going into another year where, okay, new starting quarterback, big road test, how's the feeling, I guess, overall?
I think most fans are apprehensive about picking anything because CJ hasn't played much. I'm less apprehensive because I've met him, been around him, seen him play live. It's different when you see guys play live. There is zero substitute. But with that, I'm also not as worried personally. He's Lloyd Carr's grandson, and he's been around football his entire life. But most Notre Dame fans, I think, are nervous because that's just kind of the nature of that fan base. And it's Miami. It's a rivalry game. So Notre Dame here lately hasn't done anything besides play road games. 2021 to 2025, it's been all road contests. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it makes it more fun to start the year. A lot of other teams are playing directional schools, so Notre Dame finds an opponent right away. They're not messing around.
Yeah. I feel like the offseason is a little bit different when you're starting off the season with an opponent like that.
Oh,
I feel like
absolutely. Changes how you do it.
Yeah, the pads are popping a little harder in practice, I think.
100%.
Yeah. But I'll ask you this next. So speaking of quarterback, you guys had Riley Leonard last year. He had his struggles early on. I remember watching quite a few Notre Dame games like first half of the year because a lot of them are on NBC and Peacock, so they're easy to catch. But then he kind of found his footing and, ended up rushing for over 900 yards. It became, they found their identity, made a deep run in the playoffs, went all the way to the championship game. So now not having Riley Leonard, not having that leader, that beacon to kind of guide them, which I feel like he was kind of the heart of the offense, really. Even though he may not have been the best overall player, that's probably Jeremiah Love, but I think he was the heart and soul of the offense, kind of like Tebow was with the Gators, even though Percy Harvin probably was the best player. So losing Riley Leonard, what does that mean to the team, and how do you think they can make up for that?
I think it does mean a lot because that guy, forget which game it was, there was a play where they were dominating somebody and they were down inside the 10, and he didn't have to, but he dove and got helicoptered. And I'm like, okay, that's probably not real smart, but you're going to gain the respect of every player in a gold helmet and everybody on a headset. Like, you can't teach that. Everybody wants to die for that guy. So yeah, I don't know if you can replace it wholeheartedly. And CJ's a completely different kind of player. He can run around a little bit, but A, he's not as big, and B, he's not near as athletic as Riley Leonard. So I think you got to do it in a culmination of ways. It's an O-line driven program. If Miami plays a team this year with more O-line talent than them, it's first game. And that'd probably be the only team that maybe Clemson, but I doubt it. Notre Dame's very dominant up front in terms of the athletes they have. So a couple of those guys are seniors, Billy Shrouth, et cetera. That's part of it. Jeremiah is a pretty quiet guy, but he's somebody that by example will lead. Some of the leaders that are probably bigger picture are more on defense. Drake Bowen, the middle linebacker, Adon Schuler, some of those guys. But overall, I don't think there's any one player, personality-wise, et cetera, that are going to fit it. CJ's a gregarious personality and all that, but he's a redshirt freshman. Riley was a guy that is a senior in college. It's just a different animal. So I think it will have to be a culmination, and I'm not sure you can even do it with Jeremiah. So we'll see what Notre Dame does. But yeah, that's a great question. It's something that Notre Dame has to answer the bell for.
Yeah, no, and we have to do the same thing on our end, replacing maybe the best player in the country. But,
sure.
you bring in Carson Beck. I think that's probably there's not many better options in the portal to replace him. I feel like, but let me throw it back at you. So, from a Notre Dame perspective, I'm sure you've done like, hey, what can we do to like keys to victory for us, and what like if we lose, what needs to go wrong for that to happen? You've probably played both sides of that. So, give me a couple reasons why. If this happens, Notre Dame would win. Give me like a couple, and then after that, we'll go. Hey, a couple reasons why you think they might drop this one.
Number one is special teams. Marty Biaggi is arguably the best special teams coach in America. Miami sucked at covering kicks last year, and they were 122nd, I believe. How that's possible is mind-blowing with the athletes. Like I've been to practices and stuff. It's like, how is that possible? So they got to get better there. Do you know the two guys that Notre Dame's putting back on kickoffs?
Off the top of I saw the depth chart that they posted, but off the top of my head, no.
Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love.
I figured it was at least one, if not both.
So I've heard the kickoff guy from Miami's got a cannon. He needs to make sure he doesn't hit a line drive. And if they either one of them goes back for a punt, swallow your pride, kick it away. That's something that costs every team that goes against a good kick return. Notre Dame's done that too and got burned before too. So that's first thing. Special teams, they block punts, they do different things. And in first games, I say this all the time no matter what podcast I'm on, you can lose a game faster with special teams than any other. Ball going over the punter's head, etc. Notre Dame's been so good, I'm going to give them the edge in special teams. That's the first way you can really find a way to win. Secondarily, I just think that at some point, it would be surprising to me if Jeremiah doesn't make one of those plays that gets clipped and everybody sees for years and years. The absolutely uncoachable, how did he do that moment? Because he does it in every game. Mm-hmm. I know the guy that Comet Kane or whatever that guy is doesn't think Jeremiah Love's very good. I saw a podcast that he did about that, and I laughed the entire time. He's the only one in America that doesn't think he's an unbelievable player, but whatever. Jeremiah Love live, I've had the pleasure of seeing that when he was in high school. I knew he was going to be good at Notre Dame. I just didn't know if it was going to be receiver, DB, or running back. He was a freak. He's figured it out, running the ball. And I know Miami's got talented players. Like I know Ruben, he's a great guy. They got guys, but Notre Dame's offensive line, all those guys will go to the combine in some capacity, all five of them. So they've got players up front. Miami's going to have to bring the guys in the box, and I would too. But he's going to pop one, whether it's putting him out wide, and they're going to use him in a lot of ways. He'll make a big play. And then finally, their DBs. They've got at least 3 NFL DBs starting in the secondary this year, maybe the best corner in the country, and Leonard Moore. They got some young receivers in Miami. I need to see them beat Leonard Moore, Christian Gray, and Don Schuler. I don't have any problems with Beck, but they've got to know how to read after the snap when Notre Dame changes defenses, and they have changed it a little bit. There's going to be more zone. Post-snap reads that Notre Dame might get a freebie. Those would be the 3 areas I would look at the most.
Gotcha. And what would you think if Notre Dame, say, loses? What do you think went wrong if that were to happen? What do you think led to that?
The number one is the easiest one, and that's C.J. Carr didn't handle pressure well, meaning sometimes this is an old Saban saying, if we end a drive on a punt, a field goal, or an extra point, I'm cool. If you turn it over, I ain't cool. You know what I mean? Like it's along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. CJ gets greedy sometimes. He's elite at throwing the ball middle of the field and down. Like he's got all the arm talent in the world. Sometimes you got to check down or throw it at the lineman's feet. If you're getting pressured, eat it or throw it away. One of those plays could easily end up in Ruben's hands or Godin at Wesley's hands or something like that and be a pick six or a fumble. That's the easiest way Notre Dame could lose. I don't even think there's a close second on that. The other thing is Notre Dame, according to Marcus Freeman in his press conference today, I never really believe press conferences very much. He said that the defensive tackles improved more from fall camp than any other position. That's their biggest question. They got talent there, but they don't have, like the two guys that started last year were both NFL prospects. Did they have an NFL guy this year? Maybe, but that's their weakest position in terms of elite talent out of all the base positions. It's not really debatable. He says that it's pretty good. Well, you got Brockemeyer, Inez Cooper, a lot of people don't know about. He's not a really good pass protector necessarily, but he's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I don't know if it's going to be Rodriguez or Matthew. I don't know, but the interior guys are good, and then the tackles are massive. If Notre Dame succumbs early to Miami's running game, then if you got to play behind with CJ, he could bury you. I mean, he could bring you back too, but that's iffy. Notre Dame shouldn't do well if they get behind, you would think, in that environment. And then finally, if I'm just wrong, and Miami shocks everybody in their receivers, and more importantly, Lofton. I think Lofton's the key for Miami. He's a really good player. Not a lot of people know about him. He is very good. Middle of the field. Who wins that in coverage? Is it Miami against Notre Dame's tight end? Eli Raridan's another guy probably playing the NFL like Lofton eventually will. Who wins the middle of the field? Because linebackers suck in coverage. Like, no linebacker is covering Jordan Lyle. No linebacker is covering Jadarian Price or Jeremiah Love. Now, do the quarterbacks get them the ball in stride? Because if they do, any of those three can take it to the house. Middle of the field in games like this can be really touchy. It's a fine line between a pick six and an 80-yard score. So one of the teams will probably make a play there that really makes a difference. I would lean towards Miami having the advantage because their quarterbacks played so many reps in the SEC. So I could see Carr doing the wrong thing. And again, he could miss a read, not even throw it, or it's a pick or whatever. That's an area Notre Dame could get in trouble.
No, absolutely. Playing time, I'll hit this real quick. Thank you so much for the donation. Miami wins by 20. Hey, listen, as a Miami fan, I hope you are right. I'm going with Vegas and saying this is going to be a close one. I'd be kind of surprised by a blowout either way. While I would love to see a repeat of 2017, Brian, I don't know if you happen to be in the building when that happened. I know that everyone talks about the atmosphere that night and everything. Hopefully we'll have the same thing. I know there's some inclement weather possibly that night. Actually, let me ask you that really quick. If it's a rainy game, rainy, humid, muggy, how do you think? I mean, I think either way, this is going to be a trench battle. This is going to come down to the trenches on both sides, especially the first game, breaking in a new quarterbacks on both sides. It's going to be. I see this being a lot like your game against A&M last year. Honestly, maybe not so low scoring, but kind of along those lines. Who do you think? I mean, do you feel like Notre Dame would have the advantage if the ball is slick, if it's wet, and that kind of thing? Like what? Or do you think, man, that's kind of a toss-up? Anything can happen.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know what CJ thinks about it, but he played football in suburban Ann Arbor. It doesn't get much worse weather-wise. So I don't think he's going to worry about it. He's used to wet, crappy weather. Middle of Michigan's not very much fun. Some of Notre Dame's players that may be different, some of the receivers or something. I think the humidity for the bigger guys is probably the bigger question. Let me give you an example. Out of Notre Dame's starting 5 offensive linemen, almost all of them are from the north. The only one that's from the south, a kid from the Atlanta area, gets obviously very hot there, starting left tackle. The other 4 are from the north or northeast. That could bother them. There could be cramping. As far as pass catchers and stuff, those guys, it's usually not as big a deal. But the big guys, D linemen, etc., that's something I'm curious about. It always surprises me. Even Miami and Florida State and Florida players, you always see them in first games cramping. And I'm like, you guys know what you know what's coming. Why aren't you hydrating? It's on them. It's not a trainer or a coach issue. I always laugh at that.
Yeah, man. So before I go into a couple points with Miami, just wanted to hit this real quick. Brian, you're still covering FSU. Didn't know you were covering Notre Dame. So yeah, I'll let you explain to me before the show. I'll let you field this one.
This is pretty straightforward. I appreciate the question. I work for Locked On. They asked me randomly, hey, would you do the Locked On FSU podcast? And at the time, I was actually writing on a Miami site. And I said, you realize I cover Miami? He's like, I don't care. I just need somebody to do the Florida State podcast. And that was it. That was the interview. It was 3 seconds. Notre Dame, I just grew up a Notre Dame fan. I grew up in Indiana. So I still cover Florida State, Locked On Florida State. And I also do Locked On the Portal, which is national transfer portal, recruiting, and NIL. I do previews every day. Matter of fact, in the morning, Texas for Ohio State, stuff like that. You can check that out. Like all those, or actually that was up to date, all those kinds of things. And I just do everything through a recruiting lens, transfer portal. These are the key additions to help you understand what's going on with rosters. So it's a lot of fun, man. I really love it.
I can imagine. But yeah, you brought up a great point about the humidity. Whether it rains or not, I mean, I'm sure you spent time down here in South Florida.
Oh yeah, it's going to rain for at least
August,
10 minutes.
it's gonna rain. Yeah, it's gonna, even if it's, I'm expecting like maybe scattered showers here and there. But even then, August 31st in Miami at night, it is as hot and as muggy as you can imagine a nighttime setting being.
Sure.
It's basically the dead of summer. We consider October summer still down here. Imagine August 31st. Like it's going to be a hot one. You are correct. I don't think enough people are talking about that. So I think Miami, if it's close in the fourth quarter, if it's within 3-7 points, I feel like Miami can then, if they get the running game rolling, then they can get going, downhill. And as long as they don't fumble, they don't have any bad turnovers, I think that's a big plus for the Canes. I saw it in the Texas A&M game 2 years ago when we welcomed them to Hard Rock. You can tell they're very talented D-line with Shamar Stewart and all those guys. You can tell towards the end they couldn't keep up. And I think the humidity, the heat had a lot to do with it. So that's one thing. If the O-line can get going, get that working in their favor, the forcing 3rd and long on defense, I think, is huge for the Canes. If they can force CJ Carr 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, that's not where they want to be. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing they're going to want the ball out of CJ Carr's hands quick. And they're going to want, if there's 3rd downs, they want 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, not 3rd and 8.
Well, nobody wants 3rd and 8. Notre Dame has better receivers now than they have in a long time, but you still would rather have 3rd and 3 or better. Yeah. Malachi Fields, Jaden Greathouse, 2 more guys with NFL aspirations. But if you know a pass is coming, you got dime defense instead of nickel. It's 1st and 2nd down. You've got to set the tone. Maybe you throw more on 1st. CJ's insanely accurate. He's got a deft touch, but you can't. One of my other concerns is to throw this out there. Marcus is a defensive player. He was an all Big Ten linebacker at Ohio State. It is in his blood to kick the ball and play defense. It doesn't work in today's era, though. And I think that's why he went with CJ. A lot of people thought they would pick Kenny to be the quarterback, Kenny Minchie. But Carr's upside is far higher. He makes deep throws that you cannot teach. Again, very, very long-term decision, but it could cost him in this game because Kenny's a freak athlete and can be a runner. In the spring game, he scored on an option run or whatever. And afterwards, he did a backflip. Not a lot of quarterbacks are doing that. And CJ would be one of them that's not. So I'm curious about the mobility because like last year, there were so many plays. Riley Leonard, he couldn't read a defense if his life depended on it, or he was scared even if he saw it. First read, maybe go to the second read, then he took off. But he always made the first guy miss. It was insane. It'd be 3 guys to get to the sticks, and he would make it. CJ's not making those plays. Kenny's probably not either, to be honest. So they've got to stay ahead of the chains, or it will be very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it's the same for both sides. You don't want to put Carson Beck also 3rd and long against that secondary either. I don't want that. Cam was a different thing. Like 3rd and 14 as a fan, you felt like, he'll get this. And he did somehow. But it's not the same. 904 Hurricane saying Notre Dame led the nation in turnovers last year. I'm guessing he means takeaways. Like, they caused the most turnovers last year. They also led the nation in points scored off of turnovers. That was a huge part of their success. Yeah, I know. I was doing my homework. I know Notre Dame led the nation in block kicks, or tied for the nation in block kicks. I think they were 2nd in block punts or something like that. So they had a lot of short fields this year. So do you see that continuing to be a big part of their success? Because I'm sure teams will look at that and be like, well, let's take extra care of the football, make them, like you said, kick it through the end zone, make them earn it, make them go the length of the field. You see them doing, other teams doing a lot of that?
I think there's part of that you can control, part of it you can't. Notre Dame has the best punt fake unit that I've ever seen. That's part of it. But they also have players back that were keys. The most important guy, it's weird. I don't know how old you are or what you know about NFL, but Bryant Young's a Hall of Famer. His kid is the starting defensive end. He's 6'7", 270. He was their punt block guy. I can't remember what was the defensive lineman that played for Miami. He played in the NFL a long time. He was like 6'8". He was from Colorado, played at Miami like 25 years ago. Same kind of guy. It's just freaky athlete. He was so good.
Not Calais Campbell.
Calais, yeah.
Calais Campbell. Yeah. It was like 18, 20 years ago. Yeah, mid-2000s.
Same kind of body type. You can't teach it. He's as long as a tree. They use him in a lot of ways. He's going to be one of the defensive ends, and they use him on punt block. Part of that's just my guy's better than yours.
Yeah.
It's just one-on-one. I don't know if Miami's going rugby style, if they're mixing it up, but if they kick the ball from the same point over and over again, there's going to be at least one, if not two kicks, either blocked or close to it. And I'm sure Mario knows that. So they're going to mix it up.
100%. Yeah. No, and I'm 38. So I remember I was a kid, but I remember Bryant Young when the Niners had that great deep. Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about, but yeah, not going to lie to you. Like as far as like the negative things that could go wrong for Miami, cause them to lose this game, one of them special teams, not going to lie to you. It's something that's plagued us, not just the last couple of years under Cristobal. It's plagued us for 20, 25 years.
How is that possible at Miami?
That's what we all ask. I don't know. I look at old tape from the Randy Shannon era, from the Golden era, from the Rick. I look at all these old games on my free time because I have no life. And what I see, honestly, is lack of discipline. It's a mental thing to me. Like they got the athletes. They can somewhere around 05, 06, like that when we would kick it off, right, we would get down. We would meet the returner. That first wave would get there at like the 10 yard line, and we'd bury them behind the 20, like consistently. That stopped around 05, 06. I don't know why. Lack of hustle, lack of, staying in your lane. I don't know. But that's been plaguing us for a long time. Hopefully that's coming to an end. I feel like that's really a product of culture. And open field tackling. I think you talked about this on your show, actually. If they can get Greathouse and Love and all these guys the ball in space, and you match up with somebody one-on-one, it's a problem. If we can get guys swarming to the football, great. If not, if it's one-on-one, I'm worried. So I know that's going to be a big part of Notre Dame's game for sure, is get the guys the ball in space quickly.
Well, Denbrock is to my knowledge, I know Notre Dame doesn't release anything. They're a private school like Miami. He's the most expensive offensive coordinator in college football, so I'm told. There's a reason. Puts guys in the NFL, and he's going to come up with stuff for Love. I guarantee you we're going to see stuff that's never been on film before for the Miami game. Wouldn't be surprised if it's in the first 3 plays. You're going to find ways to get Greathouse the ball. Freeman said something that shocked me to death. He said when Jaden Greathouse isn't open, he's open, just throwing the ball. This is a defensive-minded guy saying that. That shocked me too. That was either in the spring or early in the fall camp, whatever. Those two guys got to get the ball a lot, but the key is still Malachi Fields. He's 6'4", 220. He had over 100 catches the last 2 years at Virginia, and no offense to the Cavaliers, but they suck. They suck.
Yeah, they do.
Against Notre Dame's secondary, he had and Notre Dame had NFL guys all over the secondary last year. He still had his moment. He's just a dude. He's going to be single covered most of the game. And I know a lot of Miami fans talk about, oh, we got these. I'll take the 6'4", 220-pound senior with over 100 career catches. So I like Frederic, and they got 3 or 4 decent, good players, whatever. They've got a little experience. They don't have a senior corner that's proven for a whole season. That's the one thing that would bother me as if I was a Canes fan. They're very young at corner. Notre Dame's got veteran, big-bodied receivers, and they got a tight end that's 6'6", 260 that's built like a Greek god. I'm sure they might use him in the red zone out wide too. I would tell him, Eli Raridan's going up here. If you want to put a linebacker out there, go right ahead. He's 6'6", 260. So those are the things that I think are matchup problems. But other than that, it still comes down to what you said earlier. CJ may not get that pass off if he's laying on his backside. Right. Notre Dame's offensive line is very talented, but that doesn't mean they're ready for the totality, because that's a unit that has to play together. The same thing with, like, I know Big Maui, he's a great guy, but he's one guy. He's playing right tackle. How does Miami's line work this year? We assume it's going to be really good, but you don't know for sure. Brockemeyer, I think that was a great pickup. It's been undervalued a million miles. Mirabal is one of my favorite guys that I've ever met in the coaching industry, and he's a great evaluator. I would bet you that he at least gets a cup of coffee in the NFL. He's not the biggest guy. He's 300 pounds, 295 or whatever, but I guarantee you Brockemeyer wouldn't have been brought in if he didn't know what he was doing. So I expect that to be just so much fun for guys that are true football fans, Most people that watch football, they just watch the ball. They're like the kid at the soccer game that's 7 years old. I call it beehive soccer. Everybody's all around the ball. There's no spacing. You have to look at the whole field, and the linemen are a part of it. I think that'll be really good.
Yeah. No, Mirabal's been a blessing since he got here. And I know I can speak for Miami fans, and I'm sure you've heard us say it on podcasts and stuff. Yeah, we're very confident on our O-line.
You should be.
And you guys used it to get to the championship game. So I don't blame you guys for being confident. So it's like, it's going to be a trench war. And
100%.
And I am excited for it. Great show, John and Brian. Thank you, Norman. Always appreciate the support. But yeah, Brian, like I said, I didn't want to have you on too much, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight, getting it from the Notre Dame side, because a lot of my episodes, I'm in an echo chamber with other Canes fans. I like to hear a little bit from the other side, kind of like bring me back down to earth a little bit. Well, I still have some confidence. I'm like, hey, this game's got me a little nervous. So I appreciate you coming on and giving your insight. But last question for you, because I'm just curious, just being a football fan in general, what's Notre Dame's outlook, you think, for this season? You guys went to the title game last year, and it was a competitive game for a while. So, but you got a freshman quarterback, a couple of inexperienced quarterbacks. What's the outlook for this season? Are fans expecting to get right back to that point? Are they just hoping to make the playoffs? Like, how are they feeling?
I think the floor is 10-2 because of the culture in the line play. But if CJ is not ready, those 2 losses could be horrific too. The difference in 2 losses could be massive. They could lose 31-14 to Miami, and another game like NC State could sneak up on them, and they could lose 28-14 because you got a young quarterback. But their schedule, especially if they get through the first 6 undefeated, they're going undefeated. The back half of their schedule is a joke. So it's just like it's completely front loaded. I don't know how that happened. They got Boise State. They got A&M in 2 weeks. They've got USC, like the game 6, and one other game, like NC State or whatever. Like it's really weird how their schedule worked out. But anyway, they've got a great culture now. And I'll give you a little tip on how you'll know Miami is back. This year, Notre Dame took 8 transfers. If you're above 15 transfers in any given year, you're probably in the red, if you know what I mean. The teams that made the Final Four last year, just for 1 year, were Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Combined, they took 35 transfers last year. I also cover Florida State. You know what they took this year? 23. Miami took 19. They're gambling too much. The culture is not good enough. That's why I think Miami will eventually, they may beat Notre Dame, but they're still going to do this until they eat it. Play young guys and eat it. Mario has 0 patience. Play the young guys, not go to the portal. I don't think Mario can do it. I don't. And you get to the point where you're just using high school players predominantly, and then you just throw in a couple like Malachi Fields. He's an NFL player at receiver. Okay, you go get him. I get that. Carson Beck, totally get it. But you can't just be throwing willy-nilly across the board and running guys off. That's the last thing that Miami has to do. And again, that's all on Mario. Does he have the patience to do it long term? Most coaches do not.
He wants and needs to win right now. And honestly, I don't blame him.
It's hard on the culture, brother. It's hard on the culture.
It is. I think, having been to a couple practices myself and, knowing some people, maybe it's not where it needs to be, but
it's a hell of a lot better than when it was and when he got there.
I was just going to say, what it was 4 years ago, night and day.
Yeah.
Night and freaking day. It's definitely closed the gap with like the Notre Dames and Clemsons of the world.
Absolutely.
But anyways, Brian, thank you so much for being on. Appreciate your time. Go ahead, plug your stuff if you want. Let them know where they can find your content.
Absolutely, man. Locked On the Portal and Locked On Seminoles. And I also got a Notre Dame channel, just my own fun channel, Irish Recruiting Podcast. It's a lot of fun for me to talk recruiting, to do game previews, anything with that stuff. And you can find me on X at FBScout_Florida. I publish everything through there. I really enjoy it. If you want to talk recruiting, especially, that is my bag.
Awesome. Yeah, I may have you on in the offseason at some point to talk a little recruiting. That's,
100%. Absolutely.
But yes, Terror 30 will. Are you on? Yes, I will be on Thursday one last time before the game. But yeah, No, thank you again, sir. Thank you guys in the chat. Thank you for the comments, the donos, everything, likes, subscribes. It's all about the U. Go Canes. Have a good night, everybody.